So good morning, Mr. Bomba, and I am Mercy Hanyula, BSed English 3rd year, and I'm going to tackle about a brief history of England literature. So first, we would tackle about the Anglo-Saxon society. So England was one of the wealthiest kingdom in Europe. This was due to the successful farming and trade in the towns and villages. The king, his earls, and the church all provided from these thorough taxes. So Anglo-Saxons community in England were basically um, a rural alone. Most people depend on the land for survival. All the top of the social system was the royal house. This consisted of the king and eightlings who claimed a common ancestry with the king. So, not because of the serfs or the people that cultivate the land and make use of farming. So, England is also known as the wealthiest. Okay, ang ilang kingdom to is more basically all the harvest is given to the king, but I don't think they don't have the balance panang treatment on both the serfs and the royal family. When we say royal family, by the middle of the 19th century, the royal family of Wessex was universally recognized as the English royal family and the able heredity to rule. So, succession to the throne was not guaranteed as the Witan or Council of Leaders has the right to choose the best successor from the members of the royal house. So, not just only the royal family ang mag-judge if kinsa ang next nga successor for the throne. So, there will be a Witan or Council of Leaders nga mag-choose or mag-decide if who will be the next successor of the royal family. So next is, as you can see at the picture, it is major nobility. So below the king were the earls, as we say, major nobility. Earl was the king, right hand and man in a shire. The position was on the hereditary, but it became usual in 10th century to choose earls from a few outstanding families. So when we say earl, so if the top is royal family, then there will be on the next stage where earl was the king's right hand. So when we say right hand, so it has power also nga mo choose o mo make decisions for the king. When we say minor nobility, it was below the earl. No, so as we see at the picture, so they form the backbone of the Anglo-Saxons army. With good service, they received lands from the king and could rise to become earls. So as we all say or makita nato sa picture is ang minor nobility is mostly mga knights or mga backbone of the Anglo-Saxons army. So when we say backbone, so sila ang nagdala. So they has a lot of contribution to the Anglo-Saxons period. So freemen, as we all can see at the fourth or below of the minor nobility, the upper group of commoners who held land freely and did not pay rent to a lord were known as freemen. Some freemen were expected to attend law. So next, when we say freemen, the upper group of commoners who held land freely and did not pay to rent a lord were known as freemen. Some freemen were expected to attend local courts to solve disputes. The lower group worked on land held by a lord or a landlord and made the money by selling or exchanging crops or by pursuing craft activities like blacksmithing. So, um, I will explain it later before akong madiscuss ang serfs. So serfs, there were many people in England in the 10th century who held no land and worked for others in exchange for food and shelter. There were others who were legally recognized as vend and no right that it's although they could know that the iron will be halved and earn enough to buy their own freedom. So this is the lowest um, level of kanang kinabuhi sa England. So there were wala sila land and they only work for others or they only work for freemen. So the freeman has the land and the serf will serve as their when we say servant or slaves because in exchange for their hard work is food and shelter. So that would be the single part of the levels of panginabuhi in so in urban society towns were not structured in the same way as rural states were. The major towns such as London, New York, Winchester, and Oxford were fortified against enemy attack. Most commercial activity took place in the towns. It was also home to skilled tradesmen and other professionals such as doctors and merchants. Most people live in what we would consider to be villagers. London was the biggest town in England and yet only had 10,000 residents. So, establishments of Christianity. During three of our generation, starting in the 590s, all English and their courts converted to Christianity. Italian and Frankish missionaries converted people in the South England, which Irish missionaries did the same on the north. So, the Christianity in the England literature has become more popular or ilanang considered as their own religion. That's why, however, not all of England accepted Christianity with the same enthusiasm. The Irish missionaries who had converted the people of northern England were more successful than the continental European missionaries. So this approach is Christianity complemented in an Anglo-Saxon family-based society. By the 6060, monasteries could be found throughout the country, and about abbot and monks that maintain them perform a number of important social functions such as the monasteries were the main centers of learning. Most other literate people in England were monks. By the 11th century, every village had a church of some kind. These parish churches performed baptism at birth, consecrated marriages, and prayed for the dead. Church was central to people's lives. The church collected 10% of people's annual earnings. This is large. This is a large sum of money was to pay priests, build churches, and most importantly, to support the poor. So not just because church is for praying and baptism, but also the church help a lot, like build other churches and helping others. So the church, on the other hand, the Great Heathen Army of 1865 was a large force of pagan Norwegians, and mostly Danes who were determined to pillage as much of England as they could. The Danes had their own ancient religion that included human sacrifice and encouraged warfare. So this frightened the people of England who saw themselves as more civilized and peaceful than the Vikings, as these raiding Danes were known. The Vikings had been targeting monasteries churches since the 790s, but 1865 they had come to conquer. So, Christianity in England society or England literature or in the Anglo-Saxon society is not merely give it through a whole, or like there will be no troubles and chaos. So there will be the Vikings that they targeting monasteries and monks in churches nga ilang need nga iguba or to destroy Christianity in England. So after that in the 1865, so they do not accomplish what they need to be accomplished. So that will be all in my report. And Crystal Mendez will continue the brief history of the literature in England. Thank you.